Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet SkyFF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000. My name's Such.
And my name is James.
We are in the middle of a match week, as it would be with Sky James. We've got 2 more days this week, and then we're into another weekend, which has 3 match days. But yeah, keeping it moving. James, you're off to Manchester today to watch Manchester United versus Spurs in the evening.
In the sunshine, or it probably won't be in the sunshine, will it? Probably be in the rain, I should imagine.
I can guarantee you it won't be in the sunshine. Mainly because it's at 8 p.m. or whatever. 7:30. Is it 7:30 kickoff?
8:15.
Oh, you're the later
later
Amazon
one, yeah.
Game. Fair play.
We're the main event, Suj, don't you know?
Oh, okay. I watched some of it on Amazon yesterday. So I was watching the Brighton game and then halftime, and you're like, cool, I can switch to the other game. That bloody drum, and I was going to use another word, that Selhurst Park started pissing me off. That drum is so annoying.
Sorry, mate.
So annoying. I was like, I don't know what it must be like inside the stadium, because on the TV it was annoying the crap out of me. I was so grateful when the other game restarted so I could switch that off.
Okay, thanks for ruining the experience of watching Crystal Palace games at Selhurst Park in the future, because I never noticed it.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Maybe it's just ingrained in me now. What I should learn to do for Crystal Palace games or on the TV, actually, is if I want to see the best of Crystal Palace, now just turn the game, just watch the second half.
Yeah, always gets a bit better.
They don't turn up for first halves at Selhurst Park, they turn up for the second half.
Shall we give a summary of how we're doing so far? We're going to try and get through as much as we can so that James can make his train on time. Don't want to be missing that. Rapid fire.
Yes, not too bad for me. Helped by last night's scores, which makes the score look a little bit better. On 117 so far for the week. That does include 3 transfers, admittedly. I went from Nico Williams to Adam Webster on Friday. I did still captain Ivan Toney. I did captain Adam Webster over Wilfried Zaha last night, so a little bit down on that. James Maddison's 5th yellow. Looks like nearly everyone bombed him out. He was up to about, 55% ownership in the top 1,000 or so? It's about 7% now. So I moved him on Sunday.
Foden?
To Phil Foden. Yeah, that was the move
I think a lot of people did that.
And I also decided that dropping of the 0.1 enabled me with the exact money in the bank to go from Paulinho to Gabriel Martinelli. So I decided to do it. Now, obviously, nothing from Martinelli and Foden, but it leaves me in a stronger Manchester City and Arsenal position coming into this weekend. And I think there's one more move for me, and subject to injuries, that might be it. I am down to 32. The only move I have left planned is Toney to Mitrovic this Thursday. I've got no one for Thursday currently. And my original plan had been Toney to Mitrovic on the Saturday gone. Obviously, couldn't make that move then when we didn't know Mitrovic injury status. We'll have the benefit of obviously knowing for sure if he's in the team. I'll be totally honest, I haven't thought about a backup plan if Mitrovic isn't in the team of what I'm going to do, but I'm pretty sure he will be, and I'll give him the armband. That will leave me in the bank. I'll have 0.9 left for if I walk into any problems, but I think that could be it. I have thought about the chain of Mitrovic to Scamacca. So have Mitrovic effective 3 for 0, if you will. Get him in captain Thursday, have him for Leeds away Sunday, and then move him straight on to Scamacca on Monday night. But I don't need to do it. I've got Jared Bowen in place. And I think if Jared Bowen was suddenly not in the team Monday, I'd get Scamacca in for him as well. I'm really interested in Scamacca. 7.9 as well. It's a great price. I think he'll be popular come Monday night. And
you know what I'm going to ask you? I don't know if you have it to have overall points now.
Oh, yeah, you've done me the Keppra as usual.
Mate.
911 up to 1,146.
911. So I'm on 868 now. So that's 32. So 40 odd points, and I'm 4K. But then I have used 4 transfers all season, which is starting to feel a little bit like, shit, I better start using some now. But I'm on 107 for the week so far. Massively helped. Like when we spoke last week, you said that David Raya. It was David Raya versus Casado. for Friday night, and Raya obviously comes in with a 12-pointer. It was only 1 point less than Ivan Toney, who scored 2 goals in that game. So worked out really well for me. On the Saturday, I captained Harry Kane, which was okay. It wasn't spectacular, but
Maddison, didn't I?
That was frustrating.
You don't say.
he did okay for me as well. On the Sunday, I ended up selling Harry Kane. There's one transfer I made, was sold Harry Kane for Mo Salah. I thought the 3 fixtures that Salah had, City, West Ham with the captaincy, and then Forest, I was tempted to go with someone cheaper and use the money to get rid of Nico Williams. But I thought, no, let me just power into Salah. I'll have Salah for captain on Wednesday night against West Ham, and then I'll come off him on Sunday to start spreading the money elsewhere, which is still my plan. Obviously, he scored against City, so that helped. That game, I mean, Van Dijk pulled out a 7-pointer from nowhere. Salah got me 8, and Rodri got me 8. And I think a lot of people would have been on, and I had Haaland captain, so still shots here and that. A lot of people had KDB or Foden, or might have held on to Trent maybe.
I think most people would have captained Haaland.
But the other fringe players didn't pick up anything. But from like Rodri to get past tier and tackle tier, and to get a clean sheet out of Van Dijk, I did well out of the Man City Liverpool game, despite having not some of the more explosive players.
There was proper raging everywhere about Salah's no shots here. Sky, because obviously he did have the 1-on-1 previously, which Ederson tipped round the post. Sky can't do anything to manually input that. It can't rule it as an exception, and unfortunately Opta deemed it as a shot on target, presumably
Opta
because it wasn't given as a corner. So
I had last night, I had Caicedo and Nico Williams. I decided to captain Caicedo, but I think a lot, like you have said, have come off Nico Williams. I mean, top 1,000, 3.7%, mate, nothing. So his clean sheet was decent. I still own him for the weekend, and then he will be leaving on Sunday. Caicedo was, it looked like nothing. At half time, he made 30 passes, mate. I thought he wasn't going to make it, but he made past tier 1 in the end. So yeah, I moved up from 6,700 to 4,000 overall with only using 1 transfer. Current plan is on Sunday to come off Mo Salah. I was going to move to Eric Dyer and then upgrade Nico Williams to William Saliba. I'm not so sure if I want to do that because of Saliba's 4 yellow cards. Yeah, it feels a bit like I don't want to do that. And after making that move, my plan on Monday was to come off Paulinho and buy Scamacca. It'd leave me with my Arsenal City coverage would be Rodri, Cancelo, Haaland, Jesus, and Saliba in air quotes at the moment, because then he may not, I may not go with him. I may even just go to Gabriel or something like that, still get another Arsenal.
Do you think I'll get away with titling this podcast Scamacca a pitch up?
Scamacca ya pitch up. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure. Why not? So that's my plan at the moment as it stands. And that might be me until the World Cup, to be honest with you. This midweek for me, I only had Caicedo or Williams yesterday and Paulinho tomorrow night. So I'm like hanging on. If I can get through the next 2 days without a significant rank drop, but stay around 4K, then I'll be happy. And having Salah captain today is powerful. 42% of teams he's in at the moment. Top 1K.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a powerful captain tonight, because I think a lot are looking at alternatives. I must say I had a complete brain fart at the end of last week's podcast. I was at the end, I was like, oh shit, I might have to have a second look at Newcastle in case Salah gets rested. Literally stopped the podcast. Like, oh, I do have Nick Pope in goal. I don't have to worry about it. So Nick Pope would be my backup plan tonight. I take it you intend to captain Mo tonight, yeah?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, no doubt for me. Pope would be my backup. I'm light of players going into tonight. I mean, all I've got on top of that is Bowen at Liverpool, expect nothing. Tony at home to Chelsea, expect nothing. And obviously, currently, I've got nothing for tomorrow night, but plan is Mitrovic. So I'm a bit light for the next couple of days. But as said, quite happy that I'm in a strong Arsenal Manchester City position for the run-in. I mean, looking at remaining entry points beyond this week. There's obviously Arsenal again on Sunday. You could make a case for Tottenham potentially as well, I think. And then obviously there's West Ham Monday. And then that's it, really. We've spoken about perhaps Sunday the 30th as the last entry point. I know from experience that every time I say, that's it, I'm done, that there's suspensions or injuries or something comes up. And I think anything before Sunday the 30th, I'd still be making a transfer to get something else in. But I feel like that Arsenal Forest day now, I've got my choice, haven't I, between Saliba and Martinelli now. That's so Saliba, the worst happened against Southampton. That might be one where I go, oh, I'll leave it. I've still got Martinelli against Forest. So once Mitrovic is in, I think I feel pretty well set. I'll have 2 Arsenal. I'll have 3 Man City. And that's with Salah as well. I don't see what else I particularly need for captaincy coverage. I've got Bowen for Monday night. Then that's the final day. I'll have a choice of, if I leave it, choice between Mitrovic at home to United or Webster at home to Villa. I'd probably go Webster as it stands at the moment. And just on that, that's why I'm not going to move him on, because I think on reflection, I'd be in a better place right now if I just left Nico Williams. This is the irony. So you end up playing at the weekend, got 2 points. Okay, Webster outscored him Friday night. I think you got 3 points at Webster. My captain Tony, so 1 up. I obviously captained Webster last night. Zaha ended up with 2 more. So that's cost me 2 points. So yes, Webster outscored Williams by 3. So I'm about 2 points up on Webster versus Williams right now. That doesn't.
You would have captained Zaha.
Well, if I hadn't bought Webster, yeah, of course. I would have captained Williams last night. The captain Zaha. So I'm only a couple of points up. And you look now and you go, oh shit, now Forest has gone. Man City away, Chelsea at home next 2. Oh, might not be so great. Admittedly, Williams has got Liverpool at home and Arsenal away, but I could have been moving Williams perhaps to somebody else now, maybe like a Romero, for example, or something different. Admittedly, because I've got 0 in the bank now, would have had to be someone at 7.4 or less. And before people shout out Alexis McAllister, no, it would have had to have been a defender for me because I've only got 3 at the back. So I think you can look at Brighton assets now and say, oh yeah, bin. And there is a case to say that now, but just be conscious of that final day, Sunday the 13th.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only on Caicedo at 6.7, and he actually is a not bin for me, even though he might have been this time last week, because we talked about the tiering points, and it's probably a decent, interesting segue into just running through the games and any interesting things that you picked up on the tier points, because you said, obviously, you picked up passing tier 2 against you. That was expected. But then tier 2 again against Brentford, and you're like, keep an eye on this because what's happening with Brighton. And a tier 1 yesterday. So he's got passing tier in his last 3 games as Caicedo. So at 6.7, he's almost becoming like a 5.4 every week, guaranteed. So I might stick on him actually rather than move him on. Again, it gives me a captaincy coverage on that single game day, doesn't it? So that's it.
Yeah, I'll have a bet with you. A Brighton player will hit Parsons here at Manchester City on Saturday.
I mean, I watched their game yesterday, and it got funnier and funnier as the game was going on.
I mean, the numbers weren't excessive last night. It's worth saying. Like you've got
the domination.
You've got the 3 centre backs and the 2 midfielders all hit Parsons here, but it weren't excessive. Not like McAllister 100 plus against Tottenham.
Yeah. I looked at him at halftime, and he was only like 8-9 passes ahead of Caicedo, and I thought he might be quite a bit more ahead of Caicedo. Yeah, I don't mind that as a shout potentially, James. Before we get into the game, just quickly, Salah and Nico Williams. I'm thinking of moving on the explosive Salah and the tick along Williams, not even tick along, hit and miss, let's call him, to say Dyer and Saliba for consistency. What combination do you think, assuming no captaincy, because Haaland covers me most captaincies, which combination would you prefer? Like the explosive high power of Salah or the spread of Saliba and Dyer?
I don't think I'd go to Saliba at this stage.
Okay, say Gabriel and Dyer.
I think that if you go for him and he gets booked against Southampton, you are absolutely sick as a dog. And it's not impossible. And there's not long enough left now at this stage to arguably justify, Saliba over Williams over this period. Okay, we could probably look at Saliba and go, yeah, I expect around about, I don't know, let's say 24 points. But Williams has got 2 home games right at the end where there's probably a 7 or so in there. So let's say Williams gets, I don't know, maybe 12 points over his last 4 or something. Maybe, let's say 3 points a game or something. Is it worth it? I'm not sure it is.
And Salah's got some really tasty games after the
with a
Forest game.
captaincy. If you need it for a captaincy, then yeah. But what would you do? What are you doing Sunday the 30th if Arsenal Forest United against West Ham if Saliba was to get booked against Southampton, for example?
Jesus still sitting in my squad.
You've got him. What happens if they both get booked against Southampton?
I'll be pretty upset. It makes Jesus to Scamacca easier than Paulinho to Scamacca on the Monday, for example.
Yeah, I think you'd just go with a West Ham captaincy, wouldn't you? Unless you wanted to go for Martinelli or Gabriel or something like that. But even then, I mean, Sunday the 30th, I think, last day for transfers. Yes, Brighton numbers were good, obviously, against Brentford at the weekend on Friday night. They did play a back 4. It went back to a back 3 last night. Webster's holding tail with Dunk at the moment, as I suspected he might. McAllister, I mean, what a haul for owners on Friday night in a 2-0 defeat. Passing tier, tackle tier, shot tier. If you'd have got the penalty, it's a mega haul in a 2-1 defeat. So he's doing great. And I think he's probably stood up now as the best at sub 7.6-ish or so, because there's such variety in what he can get you, and his consistency is great. Honestly, like I said, I think a Brighton player could hit passing tier at Man City at the weekend. Now I could hit passing tier off Webster and I could still end up in a minus, right? It's worth saying.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised. We've had this kind of thing going on where the numbers against Man City are getting higher and higher. And when we get onto Liverpool players at the weekend, we'll show you, like, it's strange what's happening. Tony ticking along great, and I'm not bothered about selling him, actually. It's just Mitrovic with a captaincy Thursday. I'd said to you prior to the game yesterday, Zaha or Tony will go. It just makes more sense to bin Tony because he's also on 4 yellows. So if I sell Zaha and then Tony gets booked at the weekend and I miss Tony at home to Wolves, I'm pretty gutted. So I think another one, because he's on the tightrope, it's him that will go rather than Zaha for me. Palace boys did hit passing tier against Leicester at the weekend. Anderson did outscore Gay 73-64, but last night, huge disparity. Anderson 40, Gay 77. He's nearly got double.
Wow.
And I've spoken about this a few times. I think a lot of it is it's subject to the team, but some are either stopping him from going back to Gahey and forcing it to go wide. I think because Palace have this imbalance to the left side with Zaha and Eze at the moment. So Palace want to attack a lot down that side. So I think Gahey's seeing more of it. And there's others that are obviously forcing him to go direct, saying, fine, we don't want you to go short. We actually do want you to go direct, and we think we can deal with it. So, I mean, 37 passes more is not... This is happening a bit now. So if you've got Anderson, no drama. I think the moment to go into Palace is gone because they obviously go first Saturday and then the following Saturday as well. So hold what you've got. It's not a drama. There probably are some returns to come, but it's something to think about, I think, on the other side of the World Cup, obviously.
He's playing to the beat of the drum, is Gahey.
Yeah, if you will, mate. Maddison obviously suspended tonight. The 2 centre-backs also hit passing tier in that fixture. There were big passing numbers for the Fulham centre-backs against Bournemouth. Bournemouth had hardly any of the ball in the second half. There was a big trend of a lot of games at the weekend where teams had monster second half possessions against teams. Fulham were 1. Issa Diop coming for Adarabioyo, 96 passes. Even Harrison Reed in midfield, 58, not a million miles off. Paulinho will obviously be captain for some on Thursday. And he hit 3 tackles again. And he's regularly hitting it. I just took the decision that I could get to Martinelli. And because my next move is Tony to Mitrovic, I had no want to have to keep this enabling player in my squad for this period. Like, did I think Martinelli would outscore Paulinho by enough to make the transfer worthwhile? My opinion was yes, and there's every chance I'm going to use Martinelli for a captaincy or two as well. So when I sat down and thought about it, it felt right. And obviously with Fulham playing Sunday, this coming weekend, it felt like the entry for me had to be last week, really, ahead of Leeds away. Dominic Solanke is doing quite well at the moment. I wouldn't be going there at the moment. I think the last good fixture really is tonight against Southampton. Wolves, just note on them in the sense that I think shit could change because a new manager could get appointed at some point. And after defeat last night, then I wouldn't be concerned about having the likes of Kilman or Collins if you've ended up going there, because the fixtures are decent, actually. And if you've got Jose Sarr, you had a great return on Saturday, but stylistically, they could change. And passing numbers are quite good for them at the moment, actually. For Forest, I think you are in bin stage for whatever you've got, really, here. Almost anything. You've got Liverpool at home and Arsenal away in the next two fixtures as well. So if you are still sitting there with Williams, Henderson, Gibbs, White, Brennan Johnson,
Mate, I still see
any of that.
Brennan Johnson seems to be stinking out. And
well, he's missed a penalty at the weekend. I can understand the reluctance to get rid of a player at any point, you know, for when there's no fixture games. You think, oh, he's on the pens. And he also would have given people an alternative, perhaps, if team news wasn't favourable last night. But I think now you've got an array of choices. Bin. Whatever you've got, Forest, get rid of. There's no need to have it now. And probably in hindsight, for all of us, bar a few have probably had some decent Dean Henderson returns, we wouldn't have gone there at all on reflection. Passing numbers for all the centre-backs for Tottenham at the weekend. All of the back three against Everton. That shouldn't be too much of a surprise. We speak about the odd quirk about passing numbers against Tottenham, though. You watched the game Saturday night?
No.
Well, it didn't really feel like Everton ever really had control of the ball at any stage of the game. Connor Cody, 54 passes. That's and Everton haven't hit a passing tier all season. This is what I'm saying. Passing numbers against Tottenham, there is an anomaly. Mikalenko played left-sided centre-back, also hit 44. James Tarkowski, 46. So, again, passing numbers against Tottenham can be there. I think that's relevant for people who've got Van Dijk, for example, on that really awkward captaincy day, Sunday the 6th. If you get there and suddenly think, you know what, I fancy Liverpool to win this comfortably, he's a decent captain that day because he will hit passing tiers. Harry Kane has now scored in 5 consecutive Premier League games. I'm going to jinx it. He's never made it 6. Go on the boy tonight. Do the business, Harry. Chelsea at the moment, I feel it's a bit messy with the lineup and the change of system and stuff.
Defensive lineup, particularly.
Yeah. Keppra is obviously an interesting one because he's dirt cheap, 6.6. It was great on Sunday. I know a few people went there. Really well done. You've got a really nice
5%
return
now,
out
James,
of that.
in the top 1,000.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. And I think he's certainly going to stay in goal. The fixtures aren't great, though. If you were moving on Henderson, do you go to him tonight or do you look at someone like Pickford? Because I just think Everton's last 4, obviously not tonight, but the last 4 are much better than Chelsea's overall. People say, oh, it's Everton. Yeah, but if Pickford does keep a clean sheet, there's every chance it's 11 or 12 rather than 9, right?
Yeah.
What would you do?
I'd wait till after the World Cup. I'm going to go look at...
Well, you just keep Henderson.
Sorry.
Your question, you got Henderson.
Your question was Keppra or Pickford.
Yeah.
I would probably go Pickford just off the fixtures. I don't see Chelsea keeping as many clean sheets, but I'm going to wait and go to Keppra post World Cup. I think, to be honest with you, I think when we come out the other side of the World Cup overhaul, it's going to be in so many teams.
Okay, Villa players, I'd be looking to bin. I think the one exception to the rule may be Emi Martinez. And when I say bin, I don't mean now, but basically your out is Monday night is West Ham. So I think like if I had Ollie Watkins, even if I already had Jared Bowen in, I'd buy Scamacca Monday night.
Yep.
Get rid, move it on. Better fixtures for West Ham. I'd move that on. I wouldn't even be surprised, by the way, if Ollie Watkins got rotated on Thursday night. I don't suppose many people will be there. Otherwise, there's no interest in Villa. Thursday, you obviously keep Fulham away. You got Brentford at home Sunday. They're 2 decent fixtures. Then bin it. Newcastle, Man United, Brighton, their last 3 are not good fixtures for Villa. I said on this pod last week, Arsenal players, the centre-backs, probably wouldn't hit passing tier at Leeds. Now, they were close in the sense that Gabriel got 54. William Saliba obviously got tier 2, 82. This is another one where the distance in the numbers is massive. Saliba 28 more than Bamford. All I can think that they've more than Gabriel. All I can think they've done there is I said to you last week about Bamford is really good at cutting the line between the two centre backs. That's why you've got an anomaly. And it was probably a tactical idea to draw Saliba out with the ball. That's all I can think of that. So that one probably is more of an anomaly than the Crystal Palace one has happened a few times now with Gahey and Anderson. Nothing for Adams at the weekend. Casemiro, 7 tackles for Manchester United against Newcastle at the weekend. And I wouldn't be surprised if he hits a passing tier tonight against my team as well. He's not the worst player to go and buy at this stage. And it may even give you captaincy coverage for Sunday the 13th, the final day in November away to Fulham. Or if your Arsenal player suddenly gets suspended for the game against Forest, United have got West Ham on Sunday the 30th. You probably will. You will almost definitely have some West Ham coverage, I will guess. I presume no one is going to skip West Ham Monday night. I'd be very, very surprised.
That's two tackle tiers in a row then for Casemiro.
Yeah, he will get them.
Well. Yeah.
He will get them. He's more expensive than some of the others, I think, who do similar, but I think he'll be very consistent with it. And because he plays for Manchester United, he may give you a captaincy coverage or two. I think particularly if you don't have Brighton and you don't intend to have Mitrovic or Paulinho going into that final day, you should really consider Casemiro. And I think you should consider it tonight if you can get there. Because I wouldn't be surprised if he got, say, a 7-8 pointer tonight, Suj, against Tottenham. Southampton are a definite avoid. West Ham, would you go Bowen or Scamacca as first choice Monday night, Suj?
Scamacca.
I think so at this stage now because of the price.
And I mean, he didn't pick up a tier at the weekend against Southampton, but so many of his efforts, he did get Bazuna to save once.
He had about 6 or 7 shots in the game.
Yeah, and they were all like within a foot. So there'll be a shot tier in there soon. And obviously Monday night, Bournemouth at home, you'd make West Ham firm favourites for that. So I'd go Scamacca. I'll have both.
Bowen, it's worth remembering though, has this brilliant home record. 83% of his Premier League goals have been scored in home games. And once you get to that fixture on Monday night, West Ham finished with Bournemouth at home, Manchester United away, Crystal Palace at home, and Leicester at home. That's right. There is a case to go with both, I think. Would you consider anyone else?
No.
I mean, the only one I'm thinking is if, say, Saliba got booked on Sunday, do I consider looking at a West Ham defender?
I wouldn't.
Then it feels 4 for 2, but admittedly there'd be no captaincy in that.
Not for me.
Zuma is 7.5. So once I've got Mitrovic in, I could get to any of the West Ham defence. But you think no?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you'd find better value elsewhere.
You never expect passing tier with them, do you?
No.
With Zuma, I'd almost be getting him more for attacking threat than potential passing tiers, I think.
Yeah.
That said, they might be there against Bournemouth. When you look at Diop and Ream's numbers from last weekend, particularly if West Ham are in need of a goal, they could be there. So say if the game stays 0-0 for a long time and West Ham are pushing, that's your ideal situation, I think, where there's every chance that a Zuma could hit passing tier, for example.
We dominated that second half. Again, we were in the 60-something% possession and none of the centre-backs got passing tier. That's all I'd say.
Finally, obviously on Liverpool, Manchester City. City played this weird formations. I wouldn't look into this too much, which I'll discuss quite a bit on Monday's pod. Aki, 107 passes. Diaz, 97. Akanji, 48, which speaks a lot of volumes for their left-sided bias and the fact they were overloading that side. Gundogan, 60, just got passing tier 1. Rodri, obviously, 83. You mentioned the 7 tackles. Liverpool had 18% possession in the second half, Suj, and yet Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson, all still in the 40s for passing numbers. Now, a lot of that, admittedly, is first half, but considering how much of the ball City had, this is on trend that I've spoken about a lot. And I think the way Brighton invite the pressure onto their possession I genuinely think particularly a Dunk or a McAllister could hit past and tier at Man City on Saturday.
Okay, interesting. Cool. Captain's just
Captaincy,
yeah. So tonight I'm on Salah. You are on,
Salah,
and tomorrow.
Mitrovic, the buy. Genuinely, I don't know what I'm going to do at this stage if he's not in the team. I'm working on the assumption he obviously is going to be. I would arguably maybe take a chance on a Fulham defender.
Okay.
Possibly.
Paulinho tomorrow for me. He's my only player tomorrow. So Paulinho, fingers crossed, he's in the team. I mean, I'd like it to be.
Wouldn't be able to get back to him unless a sold Zaha, and then that just feels wrong. Feels completely wrong. So it could even be that I end up skipping it.
What's your captaincy plan on Saturday?
Saturday, Haaland. It's Brighton at home. You've had the midweek off. I see no reason why he won't start. Despite me giving kind of the big up, I think Brighton passing numbers could even be there at the Etihad. There's still Haaland over Salah for me. I think the fact that Salah's the 12:30 kickoff, and if people can see Salah's in the team, will really tempt people. But I wouldn't be surprised because of the volume of fixtures they've got. I remember it's Wednesday night and Saturday 12:30, and you know Klopp hates that. I wouldn't be surprised if, say, there are a couple up at halftime if he even took him off. I wouldn't be surprised. So I still think Haaland for me Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be Haaland as well, and I own Salah as well. Sunday for you?
It's going to be a close call, I think, between Saliba and Martinelli. I'd favour that over, assuming I do get Mitrovic, I'd favour that over Mitrovic away to Leeds. I'm probably not going to have any Tottenham coverage. That said, obviously, if Salah got injured on Saturday, for example, I think I'd probably buy Harry Kane on the Sunday. Probably Martinelli. But I'm conscious that I think this is one the opposite, where I think Saliba will definitely get the passing number on Sunday. So if I fancy them for a clean sheet, he's the more sensible one, really.
I'll be Jesus on Sunday. I think that's going to be the sensible option. And on Monday, I'll have Scamacca and Bowen, but I think I will be captaining Scamacca, assuming again he's in the team because he's a buy on the day.
It'll be Bowen for me. If I got an injury on Sunday, as long as it's an offensive player, I wouldn't be able to. If obviously because I've only got 3 at the back. If it's an offensive player, I would buy Scamacca on Monday. I wouldn't hesitate. I'd go, well, I like his running anyway. I would still captain Bowen.
Cool. Should we get into some Twitter questions, James? Yes. We'll wrap a few up. There's loads that we've answered already anyway. And there's one recurring theme, which is Arsenal at the moment. Okay. So Batman Joe, for example, he's thinking about going Jesus to Mitrovic tomorrow to captain Mitro, and then Paulinho to Martinelli on Sunday to captain Martinelli. But the alternative would be just captain Paulinho tomorrow and captain Jesus on Sunday, and you saved yourself 2 transfers, which is what I'm going to do. I don't see that hokey cokey as worth it.
No, I'd leave that be.
It's just because Paulinho's tiers seem to have dried up, but yeah, I'd leave that.
No, I get that, and you could make a case that Jesus' goal scoring has dried up a little bit as well. But I think capability is there. That's unquestionable. I don't know if this is the interesting thing about the Arsenal players as well. After Forest to go to Chelsea, could they look at Southampton? Could Saliba and Gabriel look at Southampton and think we'll take a late booking here, and intentionally miss Forest so that they're back for Chelsea? That said, in terms of the move that Joe's considering now, I mean the 2 transfers, you got to think, what do you want from the 2 transfers in terms of extra points? I don't think you're getting it.
Goalkeeper moves, James. A lot of people still own Henderson.
Yep.
Move him on or hold him until overhaul?
No, I think I'd probably move that on, to be honest. I think Pickford would be the one although there's no captaincy there, I think Flappy should come into consideration. If you have no coverage for Monday night. I don't even think, if it's affordable, I don't even think Hugo Lloris is a bad shout. I don't think David De Gea is a terrible shout, because, again, that might cover you for a possible United issue where you need a captaincy. So I think there are a number of choices that you can go to. So I would move it on. Leno might even
Oh,
be another one. Fulham. If suddenly you're really short Thursday, Leno.
there's a lot of conversation around City and Arsenal in terms of getting back to them. A lot of people might have been coming off and using them as daisy chaining. I'm going to chuck you a couple of questions together, and we can maybe discuss it as a topic. There's a lot of discussion. This is from Ron about Ake and Akanji until overhaul. But what about Ake and Akanji to add to existing City coverage and creating a block defence? FPL Full says he's only got Jesus and Haaland from Arsenal City. How many more do I need until overhaul? 0 Liverpool as well, and only 34 transfers. Carl, he only has Cancelo from City now. Do you think I should get at least a couple back? But who's expendable till the World Cup out of like VVD and Salah and Kane? This is a tough one, I think, for a lot of people, James, in terms of how do they get back and how many is worth it.
It is.
I've got Rodri, Haaland, Cancelo, Jesus, plus a defender, and I still want to get Foden and maybe one more from City, especially for the last 2 fixtures before the World Cup. They're both home games, isn't it? Fulham and who do they finish with?
So City got Brighton at home, Leicester away, Fulham at home, Brentford at home, and
Fulham and Brentford,
you'll see the team fall in the last 3 as well. And I think because of the week off, certainly in terms of say Haaland and KDB, we can certainly assume.
And they're done in the Champions League as well. They've qualified in the Champions League.
And they're through, yeah. They'll still want to finish first, but yes, they are through. I don't think there's a doubt that they'll win the group, put it that way. So yeah, I imagine that Ake and Akanji will probably play quite a bit. It is the sort of thing potentially for me to consider, Suj, that if I've got Tony to Mitrovic on Thursday, I've put the 0.8 in the bank where it's quite easy for me to get to an Akanji or a Nathan Ake, for example. I think I'd have a slight preference for Ake at the moment, but I think you could go either. Some would say, well, because Kyle Walker's out and John Stones isn't fit yet. You should be conscious of that. John Stones they're going to want to get some minutes in him before the World Cup. It's not to say that won't just be in the Champions League, for example. Could I sit here with confidence and say that those centre-backs play all 4 games for City? No. But might get 30 points in the free for you, which arguably might make it worthwhile. So I think that's one where, let's say Saliba did get booked against Southampton on Sunday, and you see the team against Leicester the following week, and I've got the money sitting there, I think, yeah, I'll probably go in, knowing that Saliba's walking into Chelsea afterwards, for example. I'll probably go in and think, yeah, I can get enough out of this with an Ake or a Kanji. But I don't think it's an essential, is what I would say. I spoke last week about people being on the pulse if Salah's not in the team on Saturday. So if you've got anything Liverpool and it's not in the team on Saturday, yeah, I'd be buying City. I think Arsenal are more difficult gets. Like, I wouldn't go Saka over Foden in this at the moment, unless you need Saka for the captaincy. He's a little bit more expensive. Martinelli's very attractive and will be attainable for most people. And I think probably that's the one to go at the moment, is Martinelli.
And last question of the show, James, we'll give to JT. Sunday captaincy, Eric Dyer, Gabriel Martinelli, or Ivan Toney. Which would you pick?
I wouldn't go Toney because it's away.
I think Newcastle will score as well at your place. I think Martinelli away at Southampton, who haven't kept a clean sheet in 16 games.
I probably agree with that in terms of Newcastle scoring at the weekend, but ask me after tonight, if suddenly they're short of forwards at the moment. If Callum Wilson gets injured tonight, then arguably you'd maybe fancy it. Yeah,
that changes.
And that's always a possibility with Callum Wilson. It's also a possibility that he scores whenever he plays. I think, yeah, Martinelli, I think.
Cool. Right, well, we'll be back at you with Sky Fantasy Football next week. Tomorrow, Clash of the Correspondents, James, you have with you?
It's City Brighton with Johnny Pringle and Sam Murray. It won't be out till late in the day because I'm not recording it till I get back from Manchester. So audio will probably be out 6 o'clock-ish. The YouTube video, I probably won't put out till after the football. So it might even be like 10:15 at night, possibly. Depends how quick I get it done.
And join us again on Friday for a full review of all of the midweek fixtures as well. We'll be back at you reviewing everything that's happened midweek so far. And that's about it. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Play it your way. Cue music, please, man child.